Hey Stash Busters. So welcome to April. And I'm Kimmer from the Stash and Baldwin. And what I'm going to show you today is the moss stitch. This is a pretty simple stitch. It does have a little bit of a setup before you can just kind of go. As you can see, I've started here. I have a 12 stitch foundation double crochet go in here, foundation row. So if you don't know how to do that, we have a tutorial for how to do that so that you don't have to just chain anymore. Also helps it not get twisted if you're doing things like working in the round. So without further ado, here it is, the moss stitch. So I've started with an even number. I have 12. At the beginning of each row of moss stitch, or sometimes it's called linen stitch, you always chain 2. So I'm going to chain 1 and 2. And then you skip in the first row. You skip ahead to the 4th chain from the hook. That does not include your chain 2 here. So 1, 2, 3. And in the 4th, you're going to plant a single crochet. So we're going to go ahead and, not split our yarn. We're going to go ahead and do that. And then after that first one, you just chain 1, skip 1, and then single crochet in the next to the end of whatever your starting count is. So I single crocheted and chained 1 right away, and I'm going to skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, and I'm going to skip 1. Then your last one should be a single crochet. So nice and neat and orderly. There we have that. Okay. Now I am going to turn, and again chain 2, 1, 2, and there we have this. We have this starting foundation, and then we have these lovely little spaced out single crochets with a chain between each. Okay, so I'm going to single crochet in the first chain 1 space. Now when I chained 2 before, I made 1, so don't forget that down there. So the first chain 1 space is right here. And when they say in the space, they mean in the space, not in the chain 1 stitch above it, okay? So single crochet in the chain 1 space. That's what you made by chaining 1. See it? And then I'm going to skip. I'm sorry. I'm going to chain 1. Then I'm going to skip the single crochet right here. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next chain 1 space. So virtually the opposite of what you did on the row before. Chain 1, skip the single crochet right there, and single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 1, and again in the chain 1 space, and chain 1, and again. And this is the only thing that's like, wait, what? So now we've got to the end, right? We're going to chain 1. So the last stitch on row 2 of the setup should be a single crochet in that chain space at the start of the first setup row. So you just go in this chain space here that you made and single crochet. Okay, and have that. Now we're going to turn. Okay, so I'll just slip her over. Now row 3 is the repeat row. This is what we're going to do pretty much from now on after this now. So we are going to chain 2. I'm crocheting really tight, sorry. We're going to crochet or chain 2, then we're going to single crochet again in the first chain 1 space. So if it feels like it's a little trickier to find, it depends on your weight of yarn and your hook size. So I'm on a worsted with a G hook, so it's a little tight, a little dense. I like my moss stitch to be pretty dense. If you need to, you can make this a little looser by going up a hook size from your yarn, suggested for your yarn, just so you can see those chain 1 spaces a little easier if you're having trouble with that. But it gets to the point where you can literally just, you can feel it, you know where it is. So there we go. We're gonna single crochet in the first chain 1 space. We're going to skip it, chain 1, and then skip to the next one. Oops, not in the stitch, in the space. And single crochet, or chain 1. And so forth. So you find the little chain 1 space, and you don't have double crochet. We're not have doubling. However, you can do a looser moss stitch by changing your single crochets to a different stitch. But right now we're just gonna learn how to do it this way. So chain 1, go into the next chain 1 space, and then chain 1, and again. And chain 1, and then when you get to the last one, which is your chain 2 space at the start of the row, it should be a single crochet into that space. Okay. As you work, you get this nice, dense, it's got a lot of thickness and strength. It doesn't have any real big holes in it. You're making a pretty dense, lightly textured fabric. The moss stitch is good for about a bazillion things. I'm not even going to get into it. Basically, you can use this on whatever you want. Changing the ratio of your yarn weight to hook size changes the size of the chain 1 spaces and therefore the drape of the fabric when you're finished with it. So essentially you just keep repeating row 3 until your piece is, you've achieved the size of the piece that you want. So turned this way, it makes a very nice border or bottom to, say, a sweater or collars, cuffs,